Good evening, Bhante and all Kalyanamita Sutihotu. I'm Aliana and welcome to Sutta Discussion Day 26 by Bhante Dr. Gangodawila Chandima. Very happy that tonight we are going to discuss a new topic, which is Sigalovada Sutta, the fourth sutta from the total of 10 sutta that have been chosen by Bhante Chandima for this sutta discussion. Whoever interested to join the Zoom class where we can engage directly with Bhante can contact us on Ti-Ratana Vihara Aman Perdana Kelang's Facebook Messenger. We are welcoming newcomers. However, this class also will be broadcast on Ti-Ratana Vihara Aman Perdana Kelang's Facebook page and YouTube channel. Please allow me to introduce about our speaker. Bhante Dr. Gangodawila Chandima currently is the Senior Advisor at Patisota Canada, a virtual Dharma organization that helps beginner as well as expert students in learning Dharma in a variety of ways. Many people are interested in Dhamma Pariyesana, Patisota's most acclaimed interview series, which Bhante conducts on regular basis. You can check on Patisota with the link www.patisota.blogspot.com. Bhante Dr. Gangodawila Chandima earned a PhD in Buddhist Studies in 2015 from University of Sri Jayawardenepura in Sri Lanka. From 2012 to 2015, Bhante served as Theravada Buddhist chaplain at the University of British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada. And in 2016, Bhante was a research fellow at the Center for Studies in Religion and Society of the University of Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Without further ado, we welcome once again Bhante. Thank you very much for the sutta discussion. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Aliana. Every day, your gracious introduction, and Lim for technically making this happen. And we have Sadhuris today from Singapore, and Aliana, Lim, Vinita. We have a new face today, Sushma from Nepal, Rohini, Sita from Indonesia, Dihan, Lim, Suresh from India, and we have one from Malaysia too, Hustle. I guess she's logging in probably a couple of seconds. So welcome back, and today we have a new sutta just going to be discussed. That's the wonder here. It's not a wonder, I guess. It could be a wonderful thing because it's a new sutta. Today is day 26. So we started this Friday sutta discussion I guess in March. We started with the very simple, very easy to understand suttas, Mahamangala Sutta. And then we did Ratana Sutta, and we discussed Metta Sutta. And then we are now moving towards a kind of a longer version of the sutta. I mean, from simplification to, I wouldn't say it's deep, but the context, I would say the nature of the sutta it's a bit different from other suttas that we did. Probably some of you might have not I guess read. Probably some of you may have learned some of the things of this sutta. Okay, Sigālovāda Sutta. So the sutta number is Digha Nikaya, the longer discourses, 31. I think you all have two documents. One is a PDF that has the English translation, and the other one is the Pali text from the Sutta Central. So there are many English translations for Sigalovada Sutta. I picked this particular translation because I felt this is I would say this is free from some of the jargon, some of the I would say translation issues in my understanding, because various people have translated. I'm not saying that they are wrong, they are erroneous. I'm saying that if I teach you, I should have a good piece that I can recommend. That okay, this is good, right? So that's why I shared with you this translation. This translation from John Kelly, Sue Sawyer, and Victoria, well, 3 people were actually instrumental in translating this. Okay, before all this, let me ask you a question. What is Nikaya? What is Tipitaka? What is this? How do we need to understand all this? Nikaya, what is Tipitaka? You know, what is this? How do we need to understand Nikaya? Now here you see Diga Nikaya, longer discourses. Welcome, Hustle. We just started. There's nothing deep we've been discussing so far. You are still at the starting point. So what is Tipitaka? Tipitaka, let me try for you. I might think that you know, but probably you might not sometimes. Okay, Tipitaka. Tipitaka. And then there's another word called Ekai. What do these words stand for? How do we need to understand? Yeah.
Is it 3 baskets, Bhante?
3 baskets. Okay. That is one translation. Any other thoughts? You can unmute your mic and then, yeah, Sushma.
Bhante Vandana.
Vandana.
As far as I understand, Bhante, Tripitaka is the teachings of the Buddha is divided into three parts, Vinaya and Abhidharma, and they are put in they are put as I think Aliana has said in 3 baskets.
Yeah, 3 baskets.
Literally means baskets.
Yes.
So these 3 Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka, and Abhidharma part of these 3 Pitaka, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I mean, yeah. Any other thoughts? Yeah, I think that, yeah, Sadhris?
Yes. How about all the collection of the Buddha's discourse in the 3 baskets?
Yeah. All the Buddha's words can be considered in one term. Yeah, Tipitaka. So Ti means 3, Pitaka means, technically speaking, it's a basket, but Dhamma-wise speaking, it is not a basket. I would say they are collections, right? But technically speaking, you can see collections can be deposited into 3 baskets. I mean, we don't take it that way, but that could be the way how we supposed to understand. Actually, is this the term did the Buddha use for his Dhamma? Was he aware of the term called Tipitaka?
No, Bhante.
Apparently not.
After he is Parinibbana.
Okay, what happened actually once he passed away? It's a long story, yeah?
Yeah,
when
there
he
was
passed
a
away,
council, yeah.
There were some issues came up, right? Even when the Buddha's this dead body was actually kept inside the temple, there were some other monks were proclaiming, you know what, up to this moment we were bounded by this particular person's lot of rules. So now it's time to release and then, to make our own thing, right? So we call there was a monk called Subhadda. Monk Subhadda was explaining that I'm not happy about a lot of rules and regulations. I like the freedom, something like that. There were some other monks who like it, but not the majority. So the Arahant who came just before the Buddha's dead body was going to burn, Mahakassapa, who was the then head monk, this Arahant Sariputta Moggallana, they all gone by that time, before the Buddha's time, Buddha's passing away. Then he decided, okay, I think now it's good. Now it's a high time. It's a high time for us to do a Sangayana. Sangayana means that to find the true meaning of the Buddha. So this is where we understand the Dhamma Vinaya have to be protected, not the Tipitaka. So Buddha himself used the word Dhamma, my Dhamma and Vinaya, not my Tipitaka. Now the Theravada monks, the scholars, they are trying to say, no, Abhidhamma was a part of the Dhamma. It's not, that is why it was not taken out at that point. Abhidhamma was a part of the Dhamma. That is why there was only Dhamma and Vinaya. But after a certain time, Theravada monks had to explain some of the difficult places by taking out the deeper points of the Dhamma and then calling it as a different collection. Abhidhamma Pitaka, Abhidhamma section. So now there are two. So, and there were a lot of things happen. Now, I think if you are a scholar, you need to understand what may have happened when the Buddha passed away. After 100 years of his passing away, there were monks, even the Arahants at that time, they were doing Sanghayana for the second time. And at that point, what happened was there was a conflict happened among some monks. So what happened, the Stavira part, the Stavira section was broken into another five groups. One of them was Theravada. So Dharmaguptika, Mahisasaka, Mulasarvastivadi, and so on and so forth. So the thing is, if you really want to know what may have happened to all this collection, you need to know the history, not even because the Theravada sect, but also some of the other groups who broke from that second near the second convocation. So it's a long story, but I just want to tell you that Tipitaka was not the original term that was used by the Buddha. It was Dhamma and Vinaya. And when monks asked from the Buddha, when you pass away, who is going to be our teacher? The Buddha said, my Dhamma and Vinaya themselves will be your teacher. So don't worry. And just before he passed away, the Buddha said, monks, let some of the minor rules be released by you. The Buddha understood Dhamma has to be practiced according to the time. That's no wonder, right? Like you won't practice the Dhamma how the people practice in 50 years back, right? Do you want to practice the same way? In 1950s way, 1970s way, 60s? No, you can't do that. Because you have to live and then to incorporate Dhamma according to time. That is why the Buddha said, not the Dhamma, let monastics get together, decide what rules to be released, minor rules. Anyways, so this Tipitaka was a later teaching, but don't think that just because the name is later, the inclusion, the contents are not that original. It is what we understand by the text is that they are precisely Buddha, but there are some questions. I mean, of course, because that they have been maintained by many monks for long times. Why not, right? When you say something to somebody, if that person is going to say that to 10, 15 people, do you think that the 20th person will say the exact same thing that you said? I don't think so. There may be some duplications. That's apparent. In the same way, not disrespecting the Buddha or Dhamma Sangha, I would say there may have happened some of the reductions in the sense. Now I will tell you one example. In the Anguttara Nikaya, it says, it is saying to the monks that you should not talk to a woman. The woman is dangerous than somebody who has a sword who's going to kill somebody. And then more dangerous than a poisonous viper. Looking at these teachings, what may have happened? Did the Buddha say these things? Okay, we understand the Brahmanistic monks may have helped the canon to maintain. The monks who have been protecting these canon at some point of the history, they were unenlightened monks, but they came from Brahmanism, the Hindu monks. So what they understood was the Hindu teachings in a way that the woman should not be given an opportunity. So they were probably maintaining the same way. I mean, not every place There are some places. So we understand those places to be some of the issues with the reductions. Okay, back to the sutta. Now we are studying, we are going to study a sutta from one of the Nikayas of the Sutta Pitaka. Sutta means what you call Dhamma part, and then Vinaya means a discipline part, and Abhidhamma means the higher teachings that we explain about the sutta. So in the longer suttas, there are, I guess, 34 suttas, I guess. Yeah, 34 longer suttas, Digha Nikaya. This is the 31st. Okay, now in this sutta, it is said that if you want to be a good layperson, then you must understand what is a good layperson, like according to the Buddhism. So I think I like somebody to read, especially probably in Pali. Yeah? Let's give it a try. Yeah? Read in Pali. I could ask someone to read, if you could see Sutta Central, the first paragraph. Who would like to read? Yeah, Susma, go ahead.
In Pali, Bhante?
In Pali.
So, Digha Nikaya, Sigalovada Sutta.
You could start from Evam Me Sutang.
Yeah, where is Pali?
Yeah.
Okay. Sigala Sutta. Evam Me Sutang. Ekang Samayang Bhagava. Rajagahe Viharati. Veluvane Kalanda Kani Vape. Tena Ko Pana Samayena. Singalako Gahapati Putto Kala Seva Uttaya Rajagaha Nikhamitva Allavatto Allakeso Panjaliko Putu Disa Namassati Purattimang Disang Dakhinang Disang Pachimang Disang Uttarang Disang Hettimang Disang Uparimang Disang.
Great. Now, don't worry that I'm asking you to read all of you to read all this Pali. I mean, but as I said earlier, another day, I said I'm only quoting the major important places. But in those major important places, I would like you to read some Pali, so you get this first exposure to Pali. So it's good, right? Otherwise, you only know the explanation, right? Okay. Sigala Sutta. Evang me sutang, ekam samayang bhagava. These are the pronunciation issues. Bhagava. Thank you, Sushma. You read well, but I'm trying to explain things. Bhagava, H. Rajagahe viharati veluvane kalandaka nivape. Tena ko pana samayena Singalako, not Singalako, Singalako Gahapati Puttu Kalaseva Uttaya Rajagaha Nikhamitva Allavatho Allakesu Panjaliko Putu Disa Namassati. Now these are the directions. Purattiman Disang, Dakkinan Disang, Pachiman Disang, Uttaran Disang, Hettiman Disang, Uparimam. They are the 6 directions. Okay, now Evam Me Sutta. Now this is the background story. I have heard this way. Ekang Samayam Bhagava. Once the Buddha was actually staying in the temple called Veluvanarama. This temple name has another what you call appellation called Kalandaka Nivapa. I will tell you the story about Kalandaka Nivapa. The temple was located in the city called Rajagaha. Tenakopana Samayena Singalako Gahapati. At that time, the Singalaka son, that means the son of the Sigala. Sigala's mother and father, good people. So their son. Kala Seva Uttaya. So he has woken up early in the morning. Rajagaha Nikhamitva, having left Rajagaha. Alla vatto, alla keso. What does it mean? Alla vatto, alla keso. Vatto means clothes. Freshly washed clothes. His clothes were freshly washed. Maybe he washed the other day. And then alla means wash, freshly wash. Alla keso. Even the hair was just washed. Right? He's pretty fresh, huh? Fresh guy. And then what he did, panjaliko, with what do you call? What could be a proper translation of panjaliko? Panjaliko, with palms together. Panjaliko, anjali. Anjali means palms together. And then putu disa namasantya. Start respecting 6 direction. North, south, west, east, then the zenith, and then the what do you call the north, the bottom, right? So now this is what happened. Now let me tell you about Kalandaka Nivabu. Who is Kalandaka? Anybody wants to guess in Pali? Who is Kalandaka? Squirrel. Squirrel. Why is this place called Kalandaka Nivabu? There is a story behind that is given in the Attakatha commentary. It says there was a king who went for camping. What happened? The king fell into sleep somewhere in this area of the place, right? At that time there was not a temple, right? So king fell into sleep. So he was in sleep. Everybody else left. At that time there was a black snake came out of a tree, was almost going near the king who was asleep. Then one squirrel thought, I'm going to save this guy, right? So he came closer to the king. He made a sound. So he was up. And he saw the black snake is almost coming to his area, his direction. So he could save his life. Then the king said, this area is Kalandaka Nivapu, sanctuary for the squirrels. So we have to save squirrels. That was how this Kalandaka Nivapu was named. And let me tell you about the story here, because now what you see here is only the gentleman, the young guy called Singalaka, was freshly washed his clothes, freshly washed his hair. Allah means freshly washed. And now having woken up early in the morning, having left Rajagaha, now he started paying respect to 6 directions. This is what we learned so far. Let me tell you about Singala's mother and father. What do you think about Singala's mother and father? Anybody has any reading before? Any thoughts? What do you know about Singala's father and mother?
I guess they've been doing the same thing and teaching it to the son.
That is one thought. Okay. Anybody else?
I think they were followers of Lord Buddha.
It's another thought.
I think that's what I have heard of.
Okay. Yeah, others? I know you don't know probably. I might be expecting kind of a wild guess, maybe an educated guess about who they were like in your own way, Because you're thinking about, okay, looking at their children, you can think about their father and mother. If they are behaving well, maybe father, mother, good people. Like Sadhis told us, he's respecting 6 directions. Maybe their father, mother might be doing the same thing, right? This is kind of an initial observation. Anybody else? Okay, no idea yet. Let me tell you, Singala's mother and father both sotapannas. Interesting, huh? They are sotapannas. So Sushma, you were very close to your thinking. Now the problem exists. arises at the place, then what about the 6 directions? Okay, what happened was Sigala's mother and father, they were rich people. He said that they have 40 crore riches, money. And then the mother and both father and mother, they were sotapannas. They found out their son is not into Dhamma, although they are sotapannas. Now, this is the opposite of today as well sometimes. Sometimes there are children, they are very good, but not their mother and father in today's world. It could be the opposite too. So his character is explained by the commentary this way. Let me tell you. Natti mama tumhakang samananang upasankamana kichanga. He's saying to his father and mother, Sigala, while they were living, I don't like to go to refuge of your monks, Buddha Dhamma Sangha. The son saying to the father. He says why he doesn't like to go to the temple. It's very interesting. Samananang santikang gatva vanditabbang hati. If I go to the temple near the monk, I have to respect them, bow down to them. I think it's a difficult. I don't like that thing. Onamitva vandanassa pitting rujjati. Having bound, when I bow down, then what happens? My back is going to ache, which I don't like also. Janukani karani hanti. My knees are going to, my knees are going to, I would say, going to expire or probably going through a hard time while I'm performing. Bhumiyang nisiditabbang hati. I have to sit down on the floor. I cannot sit on a chair when monks are around. It's pretty difficult for me. Sigala saying. Not even that. Tatta nisinnassa vattani kilissanti jiranti. When I sit down on the floor, my clothes getting dirty. This is Sigala saying to the father, mother. Samipe nisinna kalata pattaya kata sallapahatiya. When I sit down next to the monks, close to the monk, I have to talk to them, right? They are asking things from me, so I have to talk to them. Not even that. Tasming sati vissasa uppajjanti. When I started conversation with them, then I will create a confidence among them. So they will trust me. I had to trust them. So he doesn't like to trust them, the monks. Tata nimantetva chivara pindapa patadini databbani hanti. Not even that. Not even the confidence, trust that I will have to have with the monk, but also because of the trust, I have to give them the dana, chivara, and all that. I don't want to buy and then offer to them. Evang sante atta parihaya. Because of that, I don't want to go there. Now, this is a pretty interesting way of thinking from somebody who does not like to go to a temple at that time, right? I don't think there is any difference in today's world. When you go to a temple, you don't sit down on a chair with a monk, I guess, and then you sit on the floor because you are respectful and you don't care about you. I think the temples are they are cleaner places, and I don't think that your clothes getting dirty. But anyways, depending on the time, he thought that. But what happened was Marana Manche Nipannasa Kathanama Yavajiva Anusaraniya. He says, now let's see the other part of the sutta. He says, when somebody is saying something in the deathbed, we have to keep that in mind. So he was a good guy. Although he was not going to the temple, he was thinking, my father told me this just before he's going to die, in the deathbed. So I cannot forget it. Although I'm not respectful, I have to keep in mind. So the conversation came up when the Buddha saw him. Let me, maybe I can ask somebody, because the people who want to read the Pali one. Atako Bhagava. Anybody who wants to read? Okay, I might read and I will ask you to read the English one then. Atako Bhagava Pubbanna Samayang Nivasetva Patta Chivara Madai Rajagaham Pindaya. Now Buddha was staying in the Rajagaha's Veluvana temple, which was called as a sanctuary for the squirrels. And he having got up in the morning, and then he having taken his what he call his bowls and chivaras ropes, and he now started going for Pindapat early morning. Addasako Bhagava Sigalakan Gahapati Puttang Kalaseva Buddhaya Rajagaha Nikamitva Allavatang Allake Sampanjalikan Putudisanam. Buddha saw this particular young man called Sigalaka who has woken up early in the morning and then with freshly washed clothes, freshly washed hair, and then started with palms, together, respecting all the directions. Now here, let's identify the directions. Purattimaya Disaya. Purattimaya means, what is Purattimaya Disaya? How do we understand Purattimaya? What is Purattimaya? East. Purattimaya means east. And then Dakhinaya means south. Pachimaya, west. Then Uttara, north. Hettima, what is Hettima? Lower. And Upari means upper. Now the Buddha saw what is going on there with this guy. This was Singalakang Gahapati Puttang. Having seen this thing, the Buddha told Singalaka this way. Kinnuko twang Gahapa. Why Gahapati Putta? Gahapati Putta means son of householder. Kalaseva Buddhaya Rajagahani Kametva Allavattu Allakeso Panjaliko Putu Disana. Why do you respect all these directions early in the morning, with freshly washed clothes and freshly washed hair? Puratti Mandisang, Dakhinandisang, Pachimandisang, Uttara. Now he's answering. Pita among Bhante means Bhante, Bhante. Pita among my father, Kalang Karanto Evang Avacha. While he was passing away, he told, it's pretty interesting. Huh? Now, words from somebody who was going to pass away, right? That is Hassel's mother, I guess. How old is she, Hassel? How old is she?
She's 88.
88. Oh, yeah. Blessed to see you. Yeah, blessings for longevity. I hope you can hear us. Okay. So now he says, my father, before he passed away, Disa Tata. Tata means son in Pali. Tata means son in Pali. Disa Namassayad. My father told me to respect the directions while he was passing away. Soko aham Bhante pitu vachanam sakkarantu. Just now, Bhante, because I respect my father's words, sakkaranto, garukaranto, manento, pujanto. What are the meanings of them? It is said that, dear sir, my father on his deathbed urged me, my son, you must worship the directions. So, dear sir, realizing, honoring, respecting, holding sacred my father's request, I have risen in the early morning and set out from Rajagaha to worship in this way. Pretty clear, right? How it happened. So I wanted to tell you something. Now, you might think that maybe this Sigala's son, Sigala's father, and especially in this case, father, was not a Buddhist. That is why he said to respect the sixth direction. There is a trick here. Can you guess the trick that the father did? What kind of a trick that the father could have thought? The son did not catch. If you don't guess that, so you are also being tricked by the father, that father. Not even Sigala. Yeah, Aliana?
That by doing the prayers early in the morning, that one day the sun might meet the Buddha.
Meet the Buddha. He knew that. That is why he said this, because he's a sotapanna. He knew this would happen, right? So he could not tell son, hey, go to the temple, see the Buddha. He might not do that because he's not ready for that. He thought a trick, a smart way for the son to meet the Buddha. He knew that the 6 directions are not these, south, west, north, east, and so forth. He knew that the son would definitely meet in the morning, right? That is how he was tricked, and I hope you were not tricked. Interesting. Okay. Now you understand the story. You know that the Singalaka's son, father, mother, they were sotapannas, and how the name of Kalandaka was given because there was a king who fell into sleep on a trip, and then he was almost gonna bitten by a black snake from the den of a kind of a place nearby. He was saved by another squirrel. So as a respect to all the squirrels in the area, he said, this is Kalandaka, a sanctuary for the squirrel. Nobody should do anything to the squirrels. We should protect them. Okay, now what did the Buddha say here? Nako gahapati putta ariyassa vinaye evancha disa namastitappa. Now the Buddha says, householder's son, these are not the 6 directions in the Ariyassa Vinaya. What is Ariyassa Vinaya? The noble one's practice. Now, Vinaya here means practice. Now, when you say Arya Savako, who does it mean? What does it mean by Arya Savaka in Pali? Have you heard this term? Some monks are using in their Dhamma talks. Be an Arya Savaka. What is Arya Savaka?
Stream enterers who have already...
stream enterer. Arya Savaka simply means a sotapanna. So all the other folks who are not sotapannas, they are not Arya Savaka. They are simply seekers, right? I think we discussed that the other day. So the Buddha says in Arya Savaka's practice, that means the bare minimum level of a Buddhist. In that practice, we don't call directions are to be the secular directions that people respect, like you, right? I remember lately I've been reading an article about the language, and then the what do you call it? Language and the cognitive realms, a little bit deeper topic. That means the way different people use the language is very interesting. Now, there is a certain group of people in Australia, an Aboriginal group of people. Now, when you say who is next to you, who is to the left of you, who is to the right of you? You say, on my right, I have this, on my left. This group doesn't say like that. They say, on my south side, on my, west side, on my east side, on my northern side, on my southwest side. So they want to be pretty accurate about the place. They think that the language is a landscape, so you should be able to locate the locations in that same way. Directions are not the directions that people use in the Ariyassa Vinaya, means Sotapanna's life. They are different. Yataha katampana bhante Ariyassa Vinaya chadisa namassitappa. Sadhu me bhante bhagava tata dhamma desetu yatha Ariyassa Vinaya chadisa. He's very willing to learn. He said, Bhante, can I learn? Can I know what the 6 directions are in the Ariyassa Vinaya? He was very willing to learn. Tena hi gahapati putta suno hi sadhukang manasi karoti basissami. This is a very interesting statement. Okay, if you want to learn, listen. Suno hi means listen. Sadhukang manasi karoti. What does it mean? Sadhukang manasi karoti. Manasikarohi. Manasikara. What is manasikara in Pali? Anybody knows manasikara? Let's find out.
Mind.
No, mana is mind. What is manasikara? Yoniso manasikara. Ayoniso manasikara. This term is very, very popular in Samyutta Nikaya.
Yoniso manasikara is good skill, Bhante.
Yeah, yoniso means wise. Manasikara means attention. That means listen. Pay careful attention to what I tell you now. So manasikara means attention in Pali. Okay. Some people pay unwise attention. Some people say wise attention. And then he said, manasikang, sorry. Sunohi, sadhukam means well. Manasikarohi means pay attention well. Basisam, I will tell you, I will teach you. Evam. Yes, Venerable Sir, Bhante. Tiko Sigālaku Gahapati Puttu. Bhagavato Pachassos. What is Pachassos? Reply. Pachassos means reply to the Buddha. Bhagava etada vocha. The blessed one said this way. Now we are coming to the abstract of the sutta. The abstract of the first part of the sutta. Please pay attention to this part very well. Yatoko Gahapati Putta Arya Savakasa Chattaro Kamma Kilesa Pahina Honti. Arya Savaka, once again, you know, it means sotapanna person. So when a sotapanna person removes the 4 kamma kilesas, 4 actions that are polluted, Arya Savaka has to remove 4 polluted acts. Pahina honti. Chatuhicha tanehi papakammanna karoti. Now people do bad acts in different ways. But if they do bad acts because of 4 reasons, 4 places, see here what they are called? Tani. We call them 4 prejudices. Chanda, dosa, baya, moha. There are people who might do differently. Yeah? Every bad thing is a bad thing, but every bad thing has to be judged differently. Right? Now, for example, we are asked not to kill any being, right? But there is a bunch of people in a professional lab who kill an animal professionally for the sake of the benefit of well-being of others. Is it true? Is it true? Yes. Now, we are asked not to kill even a small ant, even a small tiny ant. But there's a bunch of people educated for the research purpose, for the sake of saving other people's lives. I would say greater cause, maybe, what they say. They're gonna cut and kill all that. In the lab, it's a professional killing to save a bunch of other people. Otherwise, they might say we cannot find out new medications, new research. So then should we blame those people? Should we blame those people in the lab who are doing such things? We have no idea, probably, but we have to understand. But there may be somebody who is buying kind of a have a thought. Okay, from today onwards, I'm gonna chase after all the mosquitoes, gonna kill them for fun. This is a different motive, intention. That's a different. So I'm not justifying the killing. I'm saying to you that how things happen in the world. So each intention matters. Okay, so the people do bad things mostly from 4 reasons. We will be studying them. So now there are 4 acts that are polluting us, and there are 4 reasons that are the reasons behind our bad acts. And then cha boganang apaya mukhan. There are 6 things that are taking us to where? If you could say, young man, by abandoning the 4 impure actions, a noble disciple refrains from harmful deeds rooted in 4 causes, avoid 6 ways of squandering wealth. Nobody is supposed to squander money, waste money, right? Because most of the people in this world, they earn money in hard ways. Not people give money all the time. So you should not squander money. There are 6 ways whereby you squander money. Now, do your maths. How many things that we have to learn initially? When you do your maths, you find the number. 4 bad actions, 4 reasons for the bad actions, 8, and then 6 squandering ways. So 4 plus 4, 8, and then 6 gonna be 14. This is the abstract for the first part of the Sigalovada Sutta. We have time to do, I guess, the first, I would do the first one, the 4, what do you call here? They are pretty similar to your 4 precepts, the first 4 precepts of the Panchasila. Let's study that because I want to teach you the rest of the 4 reasons on a different day. It's very interesting. I don't want to actually rush. So let's talk about the first 4 impure actions. What are they? If you look at number 2, chattaro kamma kilesa, in the Pali text, you can see katamassa chattaro kamma kilesa. Okay. Now don't worry because I'm skipping some places because you don't need to read all that. I'm highlighting only a couple places. So just stick to that. It doesn't mean the rest is not important, but I'm trying to, because of the time, I'm trying to highlight the most important parts within the short time. Chattaro kamma kilesa, number 2. Katamassa chattaro kamma kilesa pahina honti. Now when you want to be a better person, especially a sotapanna person, you are not supposed to do any bad acts. But let me ask you a question. Can a sotapanna person still commit bad things? This is a revision question from the past, one of the past lessons. Can a sotapanna person commit a bad act? Sita says no.
I think they still can one day.
Sushma says yes. Still
They
can.
have not, they have not worked on all the fetters.
See, important things. Spot on. But okay, now others have to think along that. Now I'm asking you this question out of the revisions from the Ratana Sutta. Go back to Ratana Sutta. Otherwise, I understand you haven't read that properly. Sotapanna person can still do bad things, but not the 6 bad acts. We call them most serious, very serious acts. Killing mother, killing father, killing arahants, wounding the Buddha, making conflict among the Sangha, believing a teacher who does not teach you how to end the suffering. Okay. So the rest of the Sotapanna person can still commit the bad things except those 6. That is why the Buddha says Sotapanna person still has to remove the first 4. It doesn't mean the Sotapanna person will not kill other folks. But keep in mind, it is said in the same commentary, so when you become a Sotapanna, still you might do that, but you are very careful. You are not even killing a tiny ant. That is how it is. Right? Now, how can I tell you this in a secular example? If you compare you with the criminal, there are criminals over there, right? Somebody at the same time grab a gun and then shot somebody, and you were there at the same time. You were pretty good. You're in the right mind. You didn't do that. What's the difference between you and that person? Does it mean that that you couldn't have done the same thing too? Yeah, you could have done it because it's a matter of action. But you have developed your mind to an extent. I should not kill anybody. I should take care of other beings. Right? So it doesn't take longer to get distracted unless you have a good mind, still mind. Sotapannas are supposed to have a good mind, but still they haven't attained what you call anagami and the rest of the higher things. Still there may be a chance, but it is not happening. Okay, but it is not happening. So now here, that is why the Buddha said the 4 impure actions, what you call them by kamma kilesa, have to be removed by the sotapanna. That means we all are supposed to do. Now, probably it says, now let me tell you this way. I think what the Buddha meant here was that every layperson should target to be a sotapanna. Otherwise, why he brings sotapanna theory here for the lay people's discipline? For what reason? But here, because of the clarifications, explanations by different Dhamma speakers, the state of sotapanna has been only limited to a very high spiritual stage that only a monk can attain. Isn't it true? If you look at the stories going on, the only thing, if you want to be a sotapanna, you have to leave the house, you have to remove from everything and all that. No. What does the Buddha mean here? Buddha means here, every layperson should be able to attain sotapanna, and while being a sotapanna, you can have a good day life. That is what it means here. Otherwise, why he brought up sotapanna thing into a layperson? There's no purpose. There's no connection. So, in my understanding, sotapanna is a bare minimum stage that every layperson has a chance. An example. Can you give me an example of somebody at the Buddha's time? Any examples? Any stories? Anybody? Sadhis, I think I can.
Angulimala.
Angulimala. How do you connect Angulimala to this point? Huh? Interesting.
Yeah, because no doubt he attained quite a high stage, but he did something which is forced by the teacher to accomplish. So he
what?
make wrong. He just follow blindly and get himself into problems.
Yeah. So you mean the transition between when the Buddha approached him and then becoming Arahant? So that short time he would have he must have attained sotapanna and so forth. And then you think that this is a good that's a good way of looking at it. Any other examples?
Sunita Sopaga.
Sunita Sopaga. Yeah, lay people, yeah, they attain sotapanna, and then what else? Now let's look at somebody who even had a what do you call a married life. This is what we want to tell people. Otherwise, people might think, oh, yeah, these people must have done a lot of good karmas in the past, so they became not even they became sotapanna. They even became monks, like in Angulimala's case, and so on. They all became monks after that, right? Let's look at a secular person who attained. Anybody has any guess? So you haven't heard anybody who became a sotapanna and then stayed in the lay life in the rest of the time? You haven't heard anybody?
Forget the name Bhante, but Bhante once told us about there was a lady who has a married life and she is a sotapanna.
All that, right?
Yes.
She is not someone new. She is Vishaka, the greatest. She is the main the main what do you call the sponsor lady to the temple. What is her story? Can you remember her story? At which age was she able to become a sotapanna?
If I'm not mistaken, it was before she was married.
Before she was married, she became a sotapanna, and then she married after some time, and then she got a lot of grandchildren, and it is said that she had 500 granddaughters. It said when one of the granddaughters passed away, she was very sad about it, right? Because she was a favorite. She was very sad about that moment. Now, what does it mean? Sotapanna state is just like a normal layperson's life. But the way how she or he reacts to the normal situations is different. Now, we don't know about different people's states of mind, but we have witnessed some people and how they respond to certain events pretty different. I have probably thought about such beings. I mean, this is probably higher than a monk's thought. I don't know. I can't guarantee for other people. This layperson, how this layperson has understood the event, pretty realistic, with a pretty realistic understanding about what may have happened. Normally, the lay people are brandished. Lay people are labeled to be overly attached to the five pleasures and all that. But no, there are people who are enjoying, but at the same time, they are very conscious of what's happening, right? So the idea here that I want to say is that the Buddha is trying to tell people here, Sotapanna, state of Sotapanna is not a very hardcore something. It is the basic state of mind that every layperson has to come to. Forget about all these narrative stories that we hear in modern life, but that's the plan. Now, somebody might question, if she became a Sotapanna, why she still had the desire to marry somebody? That's a good question. Okay, then, removing what you call eliminating Sakkaya Ditti and eliminating Kamaraga, they are two different things. Because Sotapanna person still has Kamaraga. Even Sakadagami person has Kamaraga to a certain extent. But Anagami person only eradicates Kamaraga to the fullest. But still you have some raga. That is interesting. Even though you ended your Kamaraga at the level of Anagami, you still have some raga. For what? Rupa raga, Arupa raga. You have raga for be reborn in the material worlds, Rupavachara lokas and Arupavachara. You will eliminate in that only by attaining an arahant. Now the point is, we don't want to mock anybody. I'm telling you, Kamaraga and Sakkaya Ditti has a difference. So what is Sakkaya Ditti? As I told you, that is the perfect understanding of your 20 types of views about your 5 aggregates associated with clinging. Actually, now in this case, Vishaka understood that. Vishaka knows, but still she has a husband. And she treats the husband the way how he used to be, how she wants him to be. That means Sotapanna persons have a good life, good married life too. But as you approach, you might leave the house, probably Anagami or that level. It's a different thing. And I remember even Sakadagami people have a good lay life, married life. I can barely remember story. Isidatta story. Probably I can share another day. Isidatta. They were Sakadagamis, I remember. So anyways, so the idea here in the Sigalovada Sutta is that Buddha is saying, you know what? Lay people, you are supposed to be Sotapanna. It's not a big deal. Get rid of these 3 fetters. Sakkaya Ditti, Vicikiccha, Silabbata Para, and continue your way. You might be into a marriage. You might be with somebody, but you are practicing. Okay? Now it says, Katamassa chattaro kamma kilesa pahina honti. What are the 4 impure actions that are going to be eradicated? Within brackets, Sotapanna person. That means we all are, especially lay people. Then monks have to hit for target for something higher than that. Definitely, they have no choice other than that. They have committed to that. Kamma kileso adin. Okay, here's it. Panatipato ko gahapati putta kamma kileso. What do you call? Panatipata is a impure action. Adinnadana kamma kileso. Adinnadana is a kamma kilesa. Kamesu michacharo kamma. Kamesu michachara is a kamma kilesa. Musavado kamma. Musavada is also kamma kilesa. Imassa chattaro kamma kilesa pahina. The Buddha says in stanza, Panatipatu adinnadanang musavadu chavuchati paradaragamana cheva napasansanti paisa. It's an ancient state. Okay. Now it says that there are 4 impure actions that every layperson who is supposed to become a sotapanna eliminate. Now somebody might wonder, what happened to the 5th one? Where's the 5th one? Anybody wants to guess? What may have happened to the 5th one here? The precepts? Any guesses? Why is the 5th one dropped here? Where is Suramere here? Does it mean sotapannas never drink alcohol? Huh? What does it mean? How are we supposed to take that? Suramere is taken differently somewhere in the text. If you take a look at number 5, it says Suramere cha adinava. How is it taken here? Can you guess about it? Suramere, taking what you call, now people mistranslate this thing. The way how I translate the 5th precept is not taking any food or beverages to an extent where you can't have a sound judgment about any matter arising at the time. So people mistranslate. The 5th precept, I take the precept of not drinking alcohol, which is wrong. Because we all drink alcohol indifferently. There might be somebody who goes to a bar or kind of a liquor shop who drinks alcohol. But what would you call? Concentrated alcohol or other alcohol. And then we may get a cough. We go to the doctor's place. The doctor gives us a syrup which has codeine, alcohol. We might have grapes, alcohol. If we eat too much rice, alcohol. That's a very funny statement to say, get rid of all alcohol. It means you are not eating any food, any beverages to an extent where you can't have a sound judge. That means overeating. If you eat too much rice, like this, you can't. You don't know what to say. You don't know what to decide. That means you are misdeciding, right? Overeating, over drinking, right? Now, don't take this way. The Bhante is saying there's no problem, drink alcohol. That is wrong. Don't take that way. I'm not saying that way. But what I'm saying to you is the idea, the real idea, the true idea about the 5th precept. You know what you want to eat and drink. I'm not bothering about your food or drinks, but you should have your self-discipline and you should be able to have your sound judgment, right? About how you eat, how you drink. Okay, so Suramere has been taken as one of the 6 squandering ways of money. Then Suramere is not a big deal to a sotapanna, like a layperson. I think it's a big deal to some, but the Buddhism takes Suramere as a money squandering problem. Is it like that? Do you think that when somebody is drinking alcohol, let's say too much into food and drinks, do they overspend? Do you think so? Will it become a habit, like we call them alcoholic? Some gluttons, too much food. Do you think that this might cause you to overspend money, especially if somebody is drinking too much alcohol? Yes, it will become a habit, right? We call it will become a habit to any food. Like, let's say you eat a lot of chocolates. Over time, what will happen to you? You will be, now the person who is drinking a lot of alcohol, we say what do you call alcoholic. The person who is eating too much chocolate, we say chocoholic. You are a chocoholic person. Chocoholic means that you're eating too much chocolate. And then you will pay the cost for that, physically, mentally, and then money-wise and all that. So all carry a cost to us at a later time. So be careful about it. It's not even a spiritual matter. It's a matter of our life. Okay, so Suramere is taken out because it has put inside one of the 6 squandering is, I'm not going to touch that part today. I'm also not going to touch the 4 reasons of why people do bad things. I'm touching the 4 impure actions. Let's talk about panatipata a little bit. Anybody who wants to add your voice about panatipata? What does panatipata mean to you? It's a very fundamental, simple question. How do you, because although you take the precepts, you renew the precepts, you may have your own way of explaining that. I like to know that. Not reading a book. What is your way of panatipata? Your actual behavior?
Bhante, how about try it just mainly not killing no, another person or make other person injury, and more onto the human, not more on
the animals.
Yeah.
Okay, it's one way of explaining. Yeah, Aliana?
Intentionally hurting other beings.
Intentionally hurting other beings. But panatipata simply means killing, though.
Yeah.
Whatever hurt has to lead to a killing, though. But anyways, you say.
But it's done by intention.
Yeah, intentional hurting. That eventually, that might kill. Anybody else?
Yeah, Bhante.
I like to know everyone's thought, because it's a very fundamental question, not like
it's
like a hardcore question about.
Try not to kill with the intention or habit. At the same time, support living beings as a practice to not to do it.
Great. Yeah, Hassan?
Killing living beings with satisfying with 5 conditions.
5 conditions. Could you explain to us what they are?
Yeah, actually, we should know that is a living thing. Then we have to apply a method, and it should die. Then we should know it has died, and it should die with the method we have applied. Yeah, those.
Okay. So 5 ways of, what you mean is that there is a technical process of getting killed.
Yeah, because sometimes, for example, we are firing the jungle to a deer or something, right?
Yeah.
Then we are firing, then it hit sometimes not hit. Then we have to confirm with our shoot, then it has died. Then we have to get the final decision that it's already died. Sometimes it won't be die, right? It will run away. Then at that time, I believe that it's not a panatipata, it's only an insult.
I think this is primarily mentioned in the commentaries, not in the normal suttas. I mean, this what you call the context. It says, I remember the Pali part. Pano have pana sanni vadaka chitta mupakkamo tena jivita nasocha anga pancha vadasini. Pano have, the being that is being killed should be a being, should still have the life. Pana sanni means you know that there is vitality of that particular being. That the vitality still exists, not yet gone. The second, pano have pan. Vadaka chitta, strategizing. You are killing strategically. Now, there are people who are strategizing, plot to kill, strategize. Vadaka chitta mupakkamo. No, vadaka chitta means your the thoughts of killing. Vadaka chitta. Upakkamo means what you call strategizing. So pano have pana sanni vadaka chitta. We've got ill will, and then upakkamo. And tena jivita nasocha. Because of all these things, when the killing happens, that's the 5th one. If the killing happens, that's a good way of explaining, for those folks.
Then one thing, then for this example, then for amoeba or something, this virus, so this also are living beings, right? But there should be a vijnana. That means that part how we separate that one. Actually, it's for example, trees are living being, but it's no vijnana. Like that, we can take medicine and we are killing the germs and those things. But those are living beings. Some are having vinyana, some are doesn't have vinyana.
Yeah.
So actually, for those who without vinyana, killing is not a.
No, we say killing means those who have both nama rupa. They should have both nama rupa. And I think if we look at the bigger context of this killing, we are, as Lim said, we are primarily concerned about the humans. Now, if you even look at the driving codes everywhere in the world, they say, do not jeopardize humans just because you want to save an animal on the road. Interesting, huh? Do not, because if you stop your car because you want to save an animal, but there are a bunch of cars coming behind you, they can't stop in time. They can actually jam onto you. And there are a lot of people dying behind you. Maybe you're going to be dying too, right? So here, I think what we have to understand, we are not saying that the animals are lower beings. So every time, it is like that we need to have a priority. Like, let's say, when there is a car accident, the emergency crews come in and then they first try to rescue the babies. Why is it? They are not trying to touch the adults. They're trying to see there are babies in the car or not, because they try to save them, because babies are supposed to live longer than us. And then the adults, that is how they prioritize. I think we should have this priority in our all actions about killing. That means it is not the simple killing. Okay, the idea is we are supposed to take care of all the beings, but there are difficult situations where we have to make some decisions. They are very hard decisions. Now, take for instance, your mother or father going to die. They are on life support. This happens to men. And then the doctor tells you, you know what? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any better to your mother or father. Now somebody has to, stop this life support, because we have to use it for other critical patients. Then you have to make a decision, and you know that once you take it out, your mother or father are gonna die. How do you take that decision? How do you make it? How do you make that decision? And let's say not even your mother, father, maybe one of your beloved person that who you've been loving so much, and the doctor says there's nothing we could do. He or she's on life support. We can't let this go all the days. So you have to make it. That's why I'm saying, then you will have to do it, but not to kill. But there's a killing happening, right? So that's something very interesting. Remember, there was a time in the Buddha's order, one monk committed suicide. The Vinaya. This monk was committed suicide because of an assisted death. Now, this happens in some other countries. Remember, recently, 2 Americans went to Switzerland. They never came back. Finally, they found out they have gone to an assisted death place. They voluntarily died there. In the same way, there was another monk who was assisting other monks to die, saying that dying is a good thing. And Buddha said, no, committing suicide is a panatipata. Don't take your life, right? Don't take your life. Now, this is pretty clear. Now, there are people who are going to commit suicide, but the attempts go fail. Then the police arrest them and then charge them. On what ground? What's the ground of the police that they're going to press charge on you? For the offense of trying to die. That is an offense. And they will remand you, arrest you. Pretty interesting. That means these spiritual dharma things have gone into the penal code, to the code of any country. In most of the countries, they have that. So anyways, so killing has to be understood from a personal understanding and also from a very critical situational point of view too. So I think you have to balance out that how you're going to make the decision, the best choice. It's like the doctor is giving you a medication as the best choice at the time that they are dealing. The best choice at the time. They can't forecast, but the best choice. So you're going to make the best choice at the time. Panatipata. Adinadana. Adinadana. What is Adinadana?
Taking things without permission, Bhante.
Taking things without permission. Okay, that means we all have to take permission. Huh? Yeah, permission. And then what else? Adinadana.
Taking things without permission, and in a way, like, I'm not saying without permission, okay, which doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong for your own greed.
Yeah, but that is why that person is asking permission, right? Because they are not yours.
Not necessarily to ask permission. You know it's not yours.
Yeah.
Why would you take it away for your own greed and your own desire? And which you knows that you're going to bring problem to others when you lost the thing. So with that understanding, you should not do it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Anybody else? Vinita, you have been a silent watcher of all that. Let me ask you, what does Adinadana mean to you?
It means taking something which is not ours.
Not ours.
I mean, it doesn't belong to us. And without the permission from the owner. So that is qualifies to the breaking the precept to a certain extent.
Yeah. So this is
depends on the item that we are taking.
Okay, that's another point of good view. I mean,
we can say like we are taking, like normally we go to office, lots of we have lots of stationery and all that. Sometimes we take those stuff and then come home. If we return it, then we return it, but it does not capture in our mind that we have actually intentionally taken it. So if we have no intention, then
so it's like intentional taking of what's not given.
Yeah.
Intentional taking of what's not given. Yeah. Yeah. So
because there are times when like staff leave the company, then they are given handphones and laptops and all that. Some of them intentionally take it back because they have all their data there. So that is to me, I feel that you actually have broken the precept.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of looking. So I think in that answer, two things seems to be very interesting. One thing is that intention, as we all know, because intention is the bigger part in Buddhist karma. The second thing is the materializing point. Let's say now, even the animal or human or whatever, that's the object of the panatipata thing. And here the object of the adinadana is also very important. There may be somebody who might take somebody's fruit, somebody's vegetable, but there may be somebody who is going to break a big bank, maybe somebody who is making who's going to corrupt, who's going to actually take bribery and all that. That is not their money, right? So it depends. But in Buddhism, what we understand is overall, we should not have a mind that is going to take what's not given, right? This even implies to people too, right? Sometimes there is a good couple living a very nice life, and somebody's thinking different things about this couple, happy life. It can go, because whatever the thoughts you may have, finally what you think is you want to take it. That is not yours, right? Even adultery is also a part of that. It's not yours, right? It's a bigger concept. Adinadana. I remember one gentleman asked me a very interesting question long time ago when I was in Vancouver. He asked me, he said to, he's an email, he said he doesn't have a, he doesn't use internet at home. Okay. So he goes to the library, he uses the public computer in the library. So he said in the email that he has a habit of watching over what other people do in their computers like this, right? He's asking me, is that a kind of adinadana, right? He's watching over what other people do on this now. That is not a nice thing in today's world. You don't want to, you don't go check what other people do in their screen, right? I said, if you have the intention of knowing what other people, like trespassing others' privacy, trespassing other people's things, it's not a neat thing, right? Right? So I think that is also a part of adinadana in a way. And what about the time that you promised that you would show up at 8 p.m.? Sorry, not 8 p.m., 8 a.m. and you are late. And you are late, I guess, much late. And then you probably think you want to apologize, but in another context, let's say somebody is expecting you, he or she is spending time for you, and you stealing his time, her time. Because if you had informed him, he could have done something else before you met him. Pretty interesting. That means we can steal some other's time. We can steal some other's privacy, right? It's a bigger concept. It's not just that you take somebody's thing physically. It could be a mentalizing, mental kind of a thing too. And then Panatipata Adinadana. What does it mean? Third here, it says Kamesu Michachara. What is Kamesu Michachara? This simply means that you are trying to be with somebody. There's a couple who's married that you're trying to take that person out of that thing. So the Buddha said that's not a good thing, because I don't want to tell you, because all are adults, the repercussions of all that. So that's an impure action. The fourth one, Musāvāda. That's interesting, huh? Musāvāda.
Sorry, Bhante, then for this Kamesumicachara, then I have a question because it's having that legally part, right? That is legally, for example, then for this Muslim, legally they can marry several, right? Then for the king have there many, whatever they want. Those are not the Kamesumicachara, right? Am I correct?
Very interesting question. To my understanding, what it means is, now, Kamesumicachara simply means that you are married. Suppose you are married, you are not going to have this affair with somebody, right? So that's the fun. So you are married, and let's say you are single, but you're going to have this connection with somebody who's married. But what if there is a legal separation, and then you both are single, you are consensual? That's a different thing. When it comes to the king, I think Buddha did not include this concept focusing the kings, but the kings have their different ways of spending time. For instance, let's take King Kosala. He was a very voluptuous man, right? He was a very licentious, voluptuous man, going after women, like a womanizer, right? But Buddha never said, "Hey, King Kosala, you are such a bad guy." He never went to that conversation. What he said was that polygamy and polyandry can have some effects, some problems, right? For the both sides, the man side, the woman side. But what we are talking here is the general public. So legal wise, there are issues. Practical wise, there are issues. Spiritual wise, there may be issues. And I think one example to understand is that, let's say you have a very beautiful life, but something happens to your spouse. Maybe you think to yourself, okay, in a previous life, maybe I have done the same thing to that person. So my married life is not successful because because this one or that one having some affairs with somebody, right? So there are different ways to look at it, So better to I think on another context, what this Kamasumachachara says that take care of your spouse very well, love him, love her very well. That is the idea, because otherwise, not trying to say that you can't do this, you can't do this. Because if you take care of your family very well, you have a good life. That is the idea here. Kamasumachachara. So the kings and society. Yeah.
How about this? If let's say I'm not married, I go and just simply get involved with a girl, then after having all the fun, I just leave her alone. And in a way, I'm cheating. At the same time, I'm doing something which is wrong because the parents will be disappointed over it. That's a part of the common too, isn't it?
Yeah, fundamentally, it's a problem because one thing, it is not only cheating, that you are destroying someone's life. That is the biggest problem here, giving some expectations. And then on the other hand, you are cheating, and that will lead up to a lot of problems. So I think cheating is musavada, not even Kamasumachachara and all that. So it's a big chaos at that point. So if they are not married, they have no responsibility. That's a different case. Okay. So musavada simply means lying. So lying is not a good thing. But there are moments where we have to speak wisely. Sometimes you are not supposed to talk everything as it was happened, because people getting angry. So you have to understand how people think, how you have to behave, act with them. But later on, you're going to tell them, okay, this is what happened, but I did not say, because I know that if I said, they might have a different problem. So you are very smart. At the same time, you are cheating, but you want to take care of everyone's life. Other than that, you are supposed to speak the truth. There's a question from Sita. See, Bhante, as a Buddhist, if our partner is cheating on us, is it better to forgive and continue, or let go of the relationship? Because I read a Buddha's quote in the internet that the root of suffering is attachment. Okay. It's a very tricky question for me, because I'm not the one who needs to answer that. It's you. You have to decide that. Don't decide your personal problems, especially this kind of problem, from textual advice, because there are other consequences attached to that. You are the one who should decide. I think I'm telling you are adults already. If I'm talking to young people, I'm saying that you should decide well before you are convincing somebody. That is one. Second thing is that you should know, okay, if somebody is cheating you, there's no point of being in there, right? Because you are cheated, right? And there are other consequences, right? But you should understand, if you have a kid, if you have children, leaving right away might have some consequences. You have to understand what's the best thing to do. And after that, what's going to happen to your life and all. You have to have a good plan before deciding, hey, I'm going to go. I won't be with you. Before you decide that, you have to have a good, observation of what's going to happen. Okay, so that is musavada. Musavada is also a bigger topic. So I say to you that it does not mean that speak everything as it was happened, but you should consider your situation moment. But other than that, you are supposed to speak the truth. You will be trusted and respected. Okay, any more questions before we transfer the merits for today?
Yes, but then, for example, if you are telling something, whether it's a truth, then sometimes Buddha, I have heard that if it's affecting somebody, the harming somebody, better not to tell that, whether it's true.
Yeah, like truth, in medical sciences, they have a new subject. It's not a new subject, but for some time it's been there. Medical ethics. It is said truth telling attitude. Now, when there is a cancer patient in the West, they say to the cancer patient, you know what, you have the blood cancer, you're gonna die in a month. Get ready for it. You are counted, your time is counted. okay, I have the blood cancer. It's a bit stressing. It's the most stressing thing for me. How can I take it? I'm not going to survive. But maybe in the eastern side, and you know, in Sri Lanka, doctors won't tell the cancer patient you have a cancer. So what happens is the patient is going to die, over the time. Some people say it is good. Some people say it is bad, because with the pain you have in cancer, you might have some angry attitude towards you. It's very painful. The patient doesn't know what's going on. So I think maybe the doctors think that telling this thing make that person's life so miserable. So we rather not to say, but to give medication. So I think it's very interesting, because we are not supposed to speak everything as it was happened. We have to understand the situation. But other than those subjects, we are supposed to be truthful all the time. But there are certain exceptions. Now, for example, you go to a place, to your workplace, there is X and your friend is Y. Y talks bad about X, not EX, X. And you know, so on the following day, are you supposed to say to that ex friend, this guy told you like this yesterday? Are you supposed to say like that? No, that is true, but you are not supposed to say, because once you said that, there are going to be a big argument, commotion, maybe some underlying problems happening. So you have to protect everyone's well-being, take care of everyone's well-being.
Whenever when you said that it's the X and the Y, they're saying something bad about
No, the X and Y are your friends. They both are your friends. But X and Y are not friends each other.
Okay, X and Y are not friends.
Okay.
But if you are the middle person, is it helpful to tell the X not to say those things, or is it just helpful to just keep quiet and just let the X continue? Don't you think he'll be developing that bad habit?
Yeah, that
What
is
he will,
okay. If
how do
you are
we address that?
if you are the friend of XY, then you have to be smart first, because telling right away that this is not good might not be the solution, because the Y wants to say something. You should be the person whom he or she comfortable to tell that. But over time, you find a place to make the peace between them. Over time, when okay, now it's a good place for me to say something. This is not a good, but it is all a process of being smart. But you are not adding the weight up there. When Y says something bad about example, yeah, you so know X is like that, you are right. You are not somebody like that. Talk the bad with the bad people, right? You are simply listening. You are trying to, pacify the situation, but not directly, because then they might not tell you. If they both tell you what's going on, that means they both respect you. That means there is a time for you one day to make the good connection. You waiting until that time. You got to be smart, right? That is how you're gonna do something what you could do. Probably they might not be friendly, but at least you try to make them comfortable. Okay, it's a question from Sita. Bhante, there is a medical term that if someone's who is in a very critical condition and unable to be cured, have low percentage to survive, the doctor will offer to inject something to make the sick person die soon, so that he or she will be free from illness, with the permission of the family. If the family agreed to do that, is that an act of violating the Pana? Sita, this is called, if I'm correct, euthanasia. Okay? Euthanasia, honor killing. This is legal in Canada and Switzerland. They are both very liberal countries. Especially, this is more focused on somebody who can take the what you call the pain, so they can sign, I can't take the pain, I'm gonna die. Okay, here's the thing. Now, I'm not generalizing, because Canada has a different way of looking at life, and countries like in Asia, they have a different way of looking at life. So for them, how they do is different. They think that the doctors are not trying to kill, doctors are trying to help the patient to have a peaceful death. That is what they say. Their intentions like that. But according to our way, because we all are Eastern people here, so we have a different way of looking at it. Not saying that the Canadian or Swiss way is bad or wrong. So we have a different way of approaching. So that way, I can't say that is Panatipata, this is not Panatipata. I'm saying there are different ways to look at it. So that's how I look at it. So honor killing or euthanasia. Yeah. And also, you know that in some prisons in America, there is a lethal injection. When somebody has done something wrong, especially in Texas, they inject the lethal injection to kill the prisoner. So they are like that. We have to understand from the context. Okay, so I think there are no more questions, I guess.
Yeah, Bhante.
Oh, you have one more question?
Yeah,
go ahead.
The Visakha Upasika, the sotapanna age is year 10 or 12. She get married 12. Oh,
I can't tell you the exact number. I in my bare knowledge, I probably it's 7 or 10. I think it's 7, I guess. Probably I can share it to another day. Before all that, I could not wish you all of you, because happy Malaysia Day today, I guess, because the discussion was done by this Malaysian temple, so I could have done it early. So happy Malaysia Day to everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's transfer good karmas now, I guess. Questions at this point. I know the day is almost going to end, but anyways, may all the good karmas that we've been accumulating to this point be transferred to all the departed relatives that passed away in the name of all of us. May all the departed people that passed away in the name of all of us be able to receive all these good karmas. If they were reborn in a painful place, may they be able to receive all these good karmas and then be able to switch to a better realm. If they are already in a better realm of life, may they be able to use all these good karmas to improve their life, and then to listen to more Dhamma, practice more Dhamma, and then attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Recite the stanzas. Idammi ñāti naṁ huntu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idammi ñāti naṁ huntu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idammi ñāti naṁ huntu sukita huntu ñātayo. Also, may all the good karmas be shared by all the devas, nagas, and all the powerful non-human beings. May they protect and bless all the monastics, monks, and all the participants here, devotees, your friends, your family members, your mother, father, siblings, your children, grandchildren, everybody. May all they be blessed and protected by the Deva, Naga, and all the non-human, powerful non-humans, for good health, quality of life, and prosperity. May Deva, Naga, Mahitika also be well and happy. May they also attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ettavata cha ammehi sampatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavata cha ammehi sampatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavata cha ammehi sampatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Deva Naga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkanturu Kasasanam. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Deva Naga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkanturu Sanam. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Deva Naga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkantumang Paranti. Also, let's make a wish for our samsara. May I be able to spend time with the Kalyana Mittas, good friends, till I attain the Nibbana, and not with the Papa Mittas. Wishing thus, let's recite the stanza. Imina punya kammena Mami bala samagamu satang samagamu hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Finally, may all the good karmas that we've been accumulating so far be supportive and helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana silis nichang baddha pachayino chattaru dhamma vaddhanti ayuvannu sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sangha sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samijjatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. By the noble power of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, may all your sufferings go away. May all your sicknesses go away. May all your fears go away. May you be well, happy, and be safe all the time. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So I'm going to see all of you next Friday at the same time with the 4 reasons of why people engage in the impure actions. Okay, have a good night.
Good night,
Good night, Bhante.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the Dhamma. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Good night, Bhante. Thank you, Bhante.
Take care.
Nice.
Bhante, thank you.
Thank you, Aliana.
Thank you, Sister
Thank you,
Dhamma
Aliana,
and
and
sisters. See you all next week.